Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is Buttermint Tea by Twinings, which is an herbal tea. I think it consists of peppermint tea with some vanilla or vanilla flavoring. I was in the mood for it, and I'm very happy with it, except for it's a little too hot right now, so we'll wait on that right now. Um, so I am happy though, and I don't really need caffeine to talk about this because I'm very excited. I am talking today about my TBR for Nonfiction November 2021. This is my third Nonfiction November. If you are new to this channel or to BookTube or whatever, Nonfiction November is kind of what it sounds like. It is a reading challenge that gives you a goal of reading more nonfiction. If you don't really read nonfiction, just even adding one book is something. And if you do, but maybe you want to read a little more, this is a way to do it, to just devote more time to it. And it was created by and hosted by Olive at a Book Olive, who has a wonderful channel, obviously, and also talks a lot about nonfiction, among other things, but it was one of the things when I was thinking about starting a channel, and it was one of the incentives, actually, I had when I was like, wow, people do talk about nonfiction on BookTube. So, like, for me, I read a lot of novels, but I've always liked to incorporate nonfiction in my reading. Almost every month, if I can help it, I will read a good amount of nonfiction along with whatever novels I'm reading. So I'm just only too happy to read more. And there's a little fun put into it to challenge you a little more if you want. It's prompts, which are one-word prompts that you can match up in whichever way you want. So the words are collection, industry, style, and treatment, which are great words. The past 2 years, I've basically taken the words and picked books to correspond with it. This time, I'm just going to try. I have certain books that are my priority books, and I want to see if they match up at all to these words. And if not, that's okay too. And so I'm kind of doing the other way around. I want to see if it works or not. We'll see. So I have a good amount of books. Like I said, I really don't think I'm going to read all of these in November, or at least complete them all November. But I like having impossible goals and impossible piles of books. And I've actually culled this a bit compared to what I had before. I have a lot of books, and it's a thing that I always do. In my currently reading on Goodreads, which is just a way to keep things organized for me, there's a lot of books that I've had up there for quite some time that are nonfiction that I haven't finished. It's nothing against them, just I'm reading a lot at once. So if I get to some of those and finish them, I'll be very happy to do so. But most of these are new to me, or I should say new to Goodreads, my Goodreads currently reading. So I probably won't be making much of a dent. I'll probably just be adding to the pile. That's what I do. So the first two books are my absolute priorities. They're both group reads, and excuse me, and both of them I'm not beginning from the beginning in November. So I'll explain in a moment. I'll start with the Histories by Herodotus. I have this version translated by C.G. Macaulay and revised throughout by Donald Latiner? I don't know. Which I started around the year 2010. Don't ask me how I remember that, because I didn't have it down on Goodreads or anything like that, or Library Thing, or any of the other apps that I use. But I remember reading the book 1, which was mostly about Persia and Greece, and book 2 was about Egypt. And I'm usually interested in reading about Egypt, but somehow I left off in book 2. So I'm not sure, because this is a group read that is hosted by Jennifer Brooks. I'm not sure if I'm going to start from the beginning or if I'm going to skim through book 1, because I kind of, wouldn't mind being part of the discussion for the whole book. But should I start from the beginning? I'm not sure. We'll see how my time is going, I think, in November. But I do know that I enjoyed the writing style, so I guess style works. It's also a collection of histories, really, that Herodotus put together, so collection. So we got 2 here. I probably could come up with more, but I am excited about this book. Did I mention I'm excited? How many times? This were a drinking game. Forget it. Okay. I don't do drinking games. But unless you count tea. Still too hot. But the next one is also a group read, and this was organized by Kate Howe and started in September because it's a massive tome. So it was divided in 3 parts with the idea of finishing in November, which is great because just in time for Nonfiction November. And also it encompassed Victober, so the subject was, it matched up. The Brontes, Wild Genius on the Moors, the story of a literary family by Juliet Barker. So it is kind of heavy, and my nails, I just do not like the way my nails look today. We don't need to hear about that. It's about the entire Bronte family, so it's not just the sisters who wrote, but it's also their father, a little bit about the mother, the brother Branwell, and even the aunt thrown in, although she wasn't technically Bronte. But it's a really interesting story. It is taking me forever, but I really do intend to read it, to finish it. I'm over a third done. So, actually, I'm more than a third done, but I'm not halfway there yet, I don't think. But I really want to finish it in November. I heard the ending parts are even better from someone who read it. So those are the 2 books that I'm really, really centering on. Like, those are the 2 I must read in November. Just to match up a word, this book is about a writing family that brought tourism to their little area of England that probably didn't have much in the realm of tourists before that. So that was a new industry that popped up in the area. So, industry. Okay, so here are a couple of books that are of my own personal, in my possession. And then after that, I'm going to show you some library books that I hope to get to at least a couple of them. Or at least start a couple of them, because I have a ton of library books out from the library right now. They stopped the fines, and that is just really one way to enable me to just, oh my goodness, to just, never bring books back and procrastinate on, because, But I have brought some books back. Let's focus. So the first book is a book that I actually could read in Victober, because it was written during the Victorian era. But it's also not fiction, it's like a memoir. So this is The Wonderful Adventures of Mrs. Seacole in Many Lands by Mary Seacole. The reason why I'd like to read it in November, we'll see if it happens, is because the next series, as they call it in the UK, or season, as we call it here in the United States, of Doctor Who is coming up, starting I think on Sunday, And suddenly, I didn't realize it was coming back this year. And then suddenly they were like, oh yeah, it's back, and it's got all these adventures. It's the last year with Jodie Whittaker, so whatever, let's hope it's good. I don't know, I haven't really been into it lately. This tea is actually very refreshing, as I was before. But I was watching a little preview and stuff, and they're talking about it, different people who are going to be in it, and they're going to have someone playing Mary Seacole. So she was a nurse, I think, in the Crimea, and other adventures, apparently. So I know a lot of people know about Florence Nightingale. She wasn't the only one. I do want to read more about Florence Nightingale as well, but this is a nice, small book. It probably wouldn't take me that long to read, so we'll see if I can read it in November. Now I have 2 books. I don't plan on reading both of them. I did start one of them. Let's see, I got up to page 32. So not that far. I was reading it on a flight home because I bought it in Texas, back when I used to go to Texas. And so I am going to actually read a mystery novel in November, but I'm not talking about fiction today. So, but I want to keep up, or at least revive a little more of my tea and mystery feature where I talk about the mystery genre. And normally that means reading mystery novels. But I also like to take November and read about either a mystery writer or the genre itself, something about it. And I did that last year. And now I have 2 books that are nonfiction about the genre. How many times am I going to say genre? And I haven't decided which one I'm going to read. I kind of want to read both. But the first one is the one I just mentioned. It's Adventures in the Strand, Arthur Conan Doyle and the Strand magazine by Mike Ashley. I would just like the name, the Strand magazine. That's where they were featuring his Sherlock Holmes stories. Possibly others, I can't remember, but definitely Sherlock Holmes stories. And that is enough for me to be interested because I am fascinated by Sherlock Holmes. So this is a possibility, but the other possibility I have is about the other classic mystery writer that I love. And that is Agatha Christie, The Woman and Her Mysteries by Gillian Gill. And let's see, I found this in Book Off for $1 a while back, and that is no disrespect to its quality. A lot of the books I find in Book Off for $1 are amazing. So, so this is a book about Agatha Christie. I have her autobiography too, but I kind of want to just read an outside one first. We'll see. I had another book of hers, of a biography of hers that I started that I didn't get really into. So we'll see if I can make headway with this one or Adventures in the Strand. I'm kind of leaning now toward the Agatha Christie because I do plan on reading more Agatha Christie in December. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, on to the library books. Oh yeah, wait. Before I go on to the library books, is there any way I can match these up with I don't know. The why can't I think of the word? The prompts. Okay, well, the Strand had a collection of stories. The mystery industry, right? The writing was an industry in itself. Style. Both writers had a style of writing, and their fictional characters also had their own personal style. One thinks of Sherlock Holmes, and even though he didn't wear it all the time, one thinks of the hat. Poirot, one thinks of the mustache. So that's something. And treatment, well, I don't know. The way Arthur Conan Doyle treated Sherlock Holmes was rather murderous for a while, and Agatha Christie's, I don't know, I can't think of anything right now. I probably could if I really thought about it, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. But so in some way or another, I think I got the prompts covered just in my roundabout way. So I will, at this point, just show you some library books that are of the nonfiction nature. I was going to say genre, but it's not really a genre. Nonfiction is just nonfiction. There are genres of nonfiction, right? So these are 4 books that I've taken out of the library recently, 3 of which are bookish books, like books about books, which are always something I love to read about. And I am planning to do a whole month devoted to that soon. Stay tuned. But enough about me. This is one of the library books I really want to read. It's out of order because this is a series, I think, of 6 history books, and this is the last, probably has to be the last one, because it comes up into very recent times. And I read the first one pretty recently, and I read one of the other ones a few years back. So I'm a little out of order, but that's okay, because, I don't think that anyone's gonna, the time police is not gonna come after me. This is Peter Ackroyd, The History of England, Volume 6, Innovation. As you can see, that's the current Queen of England when she was younger, Elizabeth II. So I believe it goes up until the end of the 20th century. So kind of cool. I think it begins sometime after the Victorian era, which is good because, I always like to read about a little bit after the Victorian era, right after October, if that makes sense. We'll see. Although I kind of now want to read more books about the Victorian era again in nonfiction, but I could do that all year. So I want to read that one. That's a pretty new book. I saw this in the library, just seemed like fun. Librarian Tales, Funny, Strange, and Inspiring Dispatches from the Stacks by William Ottens. There's times in my life where I wanted to be a librarian and I never was. And I know there's a lot more to it than just walking around looking at books and stuff. But I think everybody has their moments where they sort of have a picture of something and they just don't do it. But you know what? We can vicariously enjoy things through reading about it. And I keep showing you this, but I really kind of like that little bit of book art there. Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah, sorry, I'm falling off the screen. And another bookish book. This is Bookish Broads, Women Who Wrote Themselves into History by Lauren Marino. Illustrations by Alexandra Kilburn. There's quite a few recognizable people here, some of whom are still alive, or some of whom were recently still alive. That's Toni Morrison, right? I think. Right, Jane Austen. Looks like Charlotte Bronte, and I know her name, Thingy, from the TV Thingy Canadian, right? Maybe? Yeah. Let's stop. Quit while I'm ahead. But I read a book recently about female writers, and I just find that interesting. I find it like an interesting subject. I like to read about writers of all kinds, but women basically had certain challenges that were not necessarily impossible, but maybe hard to overcome. So I like to read about that, even more recently. So let's hope I can get to that. And last but not least, this book is a little bit creepy looking, but I am still finding it interesting. The Madman's Library, The Strangest Books, Manuscripts, and Other Literary Curiosities from History by Edward Brooke Hitching. This guy in the front looks like from one of those classical art memes. He does not look like he's having a good day. But it is very bookish, and yes, some of these pictures are downright creepy, but I think I saw this book mentioned on Amy's Dusty Bookshelf, I think. It sounds up her alley, so I usually enjoy the books that she features, so we'll see. Some of these pictures are just darn creepy though, so if they get too much for me, I shall move on. But we have there the sum of all of the... Oh, I'm doing a math term again. What is wrong with me? Maybe I do like math. Maybe I just don't... maybe I just like arithmetic, you know? I do kind of like doing certain... Okay, we're not talking about that right now. But I am sitting here looking around here and seeing books behind me that are nonfiction. And I keep thinking, I should have put this in here. I should have put that in there. And then I realized that, you know what? One must narrow things down. One must keep it as simple as possible, even though this was not necessarily simple. I have so many other books that I'm reading. But it gives me something to look forward to, like everything else. Just like, which I'll get into more another time, all the books I couldn't read in October give me something to look forward to, not just in October, but other months. So it is just another way to have fun. And what I really like about Nonfiction November is knowing that other people are reading nonfiction a little more that month. Just, it's this nice camaraderie. And so I'll be trying to watch all of the booktuber TBRs I can find for Nonfiction November. And if you are planning to join in as well, and you'd like to comment below any books you plan to read, if you've read any of these books and you think I should prioritize Janie... Oh, goodness. Sorry about that interruption. I saw my cat chewing on some string and freaked out because no one needs that. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, yes. If you see any books that I've mentioned today and you say, well, Catherine, that needs to be one of your priorities. I mean, besides the first two that I showed, this one, you got to drop everything else and you got to read that. I would be happy to hear the suggestion. So that's it for now. Managed to keep it, well, not terribly short, but that is all for now. Looking forward to November. I do have a little time off, so hopefully I'll have a little bit of reading time extra to devote to it. So we'll see. This is Catherine. I'm taking tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and book-filled day. Bye.